Hey there YouTube, this is Elite Master bringing a video review. Today I'll be taking a look at the high grade, well no, it's not even a high grade, the SD Build Fighters Star Winning Gundam, piloted by Team Tri-Fighters. I suppose she's the leader, Hoshino Fumina. And this is the Star Winning Gundam, the upgrade to the original Winning Gundam, which I do not have yet. But I wanted to get this one immediately because it is super cool looking. And also, anybody that's been watching Gundam Build Fighters Try knows exactly what this thing does and why it is so badass. So, without further ado, let's get into the review, shall we? Then this is the base body form of the Star Winning. And as you can see, it's just a simple SD, nothing too special about it. It's about normal size for an SD. I don't have any available at the moment. They're all up on the shelf and I don't feel like getting up to get them to show the size difference, but it's the same size as pretty much any other SD you could ever go about finding. Just fix the zoom here. And for its plastic colors, it comes in the white, yellow, and gray, and some orange in the vents and on the chin. Unfortunately, that orange does not extend to the forehead, where I think it should have. And also, no green parts on this kit, with the exception of the effect parts. So, everything green you see is a sticker. The green on the shoulders, front and back are a sticker. The orange up here on the forehead is a sticker. The green back there is a sticker. Green eyes, of course, a green sticker on the chest. Yellow stickers on the front and back skirts. One long yellow sticker that goes on each cuff of the arms. And of course the green sticker for the cockpit of the core fighter form. Now then, outside of that, let's go over his articulation. It's got standard SD articulation, so its head's on a ball joint, though it's kind of tight. Its head can also tilt side to side and can rotate. Alright. Its arms can go forward, up and down a little, rotate, they go in and out a bit, rotate, bend at the elbow, ball jointed hand, ball jointed waist, but there's no real good waist swivel here, and it's all entirely because of the way that it's shaped in there, the way that this piece is molded with these high up parts. There's a reason it's like that. I still think it could have been done differently. And its legs are on ball joints, go forward and back, side to side, rotate, and the feet are the same. So it's got standard SD articulation, and that's about it. Now then, for its armament, let's go over its weaponry, shall we? It does come with its beam rifle thing. Not sure what it's called, but it is a little beam rifle, and you can pull this piece off, and you can wield that as a knife, or you can stick it on here. There's a slot down there, it's going to fit in there, and you give it this big old sword. And it's got a green sticker on the scope. Outside of that, it just pegs on there. There's a groove on the inside, and a groove on the inside of here, that slots together like so. And this piece is also apparently supposed to be a part of the blade, but the whole thing should be painted blue with a light blue for the blade. So that's a bit of painting you gotta do for this. And it'll hold it, no problem. It doesn't have much of a problem holding it, even though these two pegs might get in the way. Especially if you bring it up, it's going to touch its face. But, what have you. Next we have the backpack, which is composed of these parts, which... Okay, I'm going to spoil it, in case you haven't seen the anime. This thing turns into a high-grade proportioned Gunpla. And these are the parts that turned it into that. I'll show you what they are individually later, but right now, let's just show you it as a backpack, and it just plugs in right back here, like any other backpack does on an SD. If I can get it to go in. There we go. And it is super back heavy now. It doesn't stand flat on its feet anymore, and will now do this. You do also get the effect parts that you can bring in here. And they will plug into the back here. These big ones and the small ones will plug in right here. And that gives it a very nice looking silhouette as an SD Gundam. that by itself looks pretty rad. And, you know, real cool looking. It's got a nice backpack. And, you know, it's got a nice presence to it with this spiky backpack. And the spikes help it keep its standing position. Now then, this thing has a few cool things that it can do. If you pull these off, and you pull off the effect parts, it gets a bit tedious taking this thing apart all the time. And I do get a little scared moving these things because the green plastic is not a very flexible plastic, so I feel like it might break if I'm not too careful. But you take those and they peg in under here. Let's do one of them 2 big ones and one of the 2 small ones. And you got the little beam like funnel shuriken that she used in the show. And if we get them both set up like this, if you notice, each one has a hole and a peg on it that coincide with each other, and you can peg them in together to make one massive shuriken. Haha! Ooh. That's cool. It's really cool that this thing can do that. They can do a lot of what it did in the show. Not everything it did in the show, and I'll talk about that later. But speaking of what it did in the show, let's get it into its mobile armor mode, shall we? First thing I'm going to do is pull the head off. I'm just going to bring this piece with it. Just leave that there. Pull off the fin. Open up the wings. Flip out the cockpit. Bring in this piece, which is going to cover up the eyes. Kind of like a pair of shades. And then you put this on the back. And then voila. It's now a core fighter. Let's turn the rest of this thing into its mobile armor mode, shall we? Let's take this. Put that to the side. Take this off, it's going to fly apart, and now we just take the arms, straighten them out. This is the absolute laziest mobile armor mode I've ever seen. And I'll show you that in a sec. There's some pegs on the inside of the waist here. I'm just going to peg them together like that. You want to get the arms together a bit. Then you take this, you're going to peg into the bottom of the feet. And then you just fold the feet up. Not the feet, the backpack parts up. You can put the effect parts in there. Just separate them. And all this play with these effect parts, I do fear that I might crack the little holes there. Or if nothing else, break the pegs that are on these things. But outside of that, it goes in nice and secure. Pegs in like so. Peg her in. Get in there. Get in there. And there is the base body. I guess we should put these on here. And these things just peg in, but they peg in weirdly because they kind of like off center where the peg's at, so you have to kind of futz with it to make it look good. But you do that, and you can take this, flip this thing around just so it pegs in right again, and that will plug in right there and knock these off the feet. And there is the Star Winning in its upgraded form, I guess you could call it. And this thing will peg in right there on the face. And if you have an action base stand, you can use one of the holes here, I guess, because clipping those legs together completely locks off the hole at the bottom for the action base. But whoosh, I guess it looks okay. This thing, the Star Winning and the original Winning, have terrible looking core modes, fighter modes, whatever you want to call them. But that's not the reason you buy this kit. Now let me show you the reason you buy this kit. Take all this crap off. You fix the shoulders, and here's the base body. We're gonna leave that alone for now. I'm gonna turn this head around. Turn the beat up. Shut up. Okay. We're just going to transform it back into normal head mode real quick. We're going to leave the sunglasses on because we want to take this piece off the face. Take the face off. Come on. It's pegged in there really securely. And here we have the funniest mode ever. Check it out. Dinklage mode. What's up? Yeah, this is actually really cool. I like that they hid the face inside of the larger Winning Gundam's face, because at first I thought it was just going to be like a head swap. Like you just put the head, pull this head off, and you put a new one on. But they didn't. And it does come with a few stickers. It has 2 green on the sides, right there, and a green and white and black sticker for the eyes. Now then, we also take the arms off. You make sure you leave the polycap in there. Leave the polycap in there. Separate at the waist. Take the feet off. Make sure the polycaps stay in the feet. Take the legs, splay them out a bit, and rotate them around, because you want the larger skirts up front now. And we want to take this, we're going to separate it. Separate into all these components and pull these little white pieces off of what will become the arms. Now then, we can start assembling this thing into the Star Winning Gundam's real mode. What we want to do first is flip these pegs in. You can come to the torso, and you see that there's a hole inside here, and like these teeth. And there's going to be slots for the teeth here, and a peg that goes in the hole. Slip it on there and push it forward to lock it into place. Then you can put the torso on. Then you take these pieces, which are going to be the legs. You flip this piece out, which is a cannon. So if you want, you can use that as a cannon in some way. It didn't actually show you using it in the instructions. But she did use these to fire beams into that one dude's face in the episode 19, I think it was. Yeah, in episode 19, she like transformed her legs and like beam kicked him in the face. It was awesome. But you just flip these pegs out, and they'll peg the feet in into the polycap. We're gonna leave the blades on, and you can just peg these in. There's a polycap in there. There's a polycap in there. I was gonna peg it on, and now we have it standing. Then we take these pieces, and this was neat. You take the arms, rotate it around so that the fist is facing what is the bottom of the arm. Bend it at the elbow, and there's a slot in the inside of there, and that's going to fit in. And it's going to give him an extended arm. And I forgot to point out that this thing has stickers that are yellow and metallic green on the arms. There's 2 of them, and on the legs as well. I forgot to point that out. And on the shuriken parts. And let's do what we did with the arm to the other one. Rotate it around, bend the elbow, slot it in, put this in here, take these pieces, they're going to just kind of fit onto the side skirts here. I'm just going to put that right there. Take the backpack, well, the head, which is going to become the backpack, transform into head mode. Leave it like that pretty much. Take this piece, put it in the back, and remove the smaller V-fin. And that's just going to get these parts out of the way. Just going to peg into the back here on the same type of connector that the V-fin holds onto. So you put it like that, and you have it angled a bit. Then you take the new V-fin, and you put on the new head. Not the new V-fin, the small one. Put on the head, and there we have the Star Winning Gundam in real mode, if my camera will focus. And that is an impressive looking little model kit. And it is really cool that this thing can do that. And I like to give it the sword mode. It's got this handle on the back of it, of the rifle, because the rifle, I don't really like the rifle, to be honest. It just sticks off too much in the back. But that is the Winning Gundam in its real mode, and it is awesome. It doesn't have that much articulation, to be honest. And really, I'm okay with that, because the fact that this thing can transform from SD mode into real mode in the first place is really cool. Now let's go over its articulation first before I talk about my final thoughts and do comparisons. Take that off. Its head is on the standard gourd-shaped polycap that SDs are on, so it can go forward, back, all that goodness, side to side, rotate. It's the same neck joint as the original form, on the SD form. Same shoulder joints, because let's move out, rotate a bit, wiggle around. Its arms can also go out a bit, and it's got a deeper elbow joint than the SD, but not too deep. And that's plastic on plastic, so I'd be careful with that, like over the time. Take these pieces off because they're getting in the way. It's got the ball joint at the waist, which comes undone a bit. No real waist swivel because of the way that these things pull up here to form the full waist, which sucks. And because of the fact that it's an SD, and SDs don't have any movable skirt armor, this thing's skirt armor is also immovable. Its legs are also just the SD's hip joint, so it's got really kind of bad movement in this department. Can move in and out a bit quite well, rotate. But it's also got the ball joint on the inside right there, which kind of helps, but really the legs only go out that far. And rotation. And it's got a knee joint, which is actually a polycap on this piece that goes into a socket on the shin. And the foot can move back and forth at the hinge joint and move around on the polycap ball. And that's pretty much it for this kit's articulation in its real mode, which is the preferred mode and best mode. Now then, for little things that it does, it has this really cool little gimmick where you pull off the effect parts, either the big ones or the small ones. I'm going to use the small ones here. And you fit them on here like you did the Shuriken mode. And that little peg in the center is now going to fit onto the slot that it did in its other modes and become a shield, which is really cool. This thing can make its own shield. That's awesome. And put this thing right back here. And if you're wondering about those little white pieces, you can store them on the backpack. There's holes in there, so if you don't want them to go anywhere, if you don't want to lose them, peg them in there. And give it the sword, and it looks awesome. Now then, this thing does have quite a few detriments in the fact that its real mode suffers in articulation because it's still an SD model kit. The stickers are one of the biggest problems I have with this thing. Just the amount of them and what they are. I really hoped that these parts would have been like clear green, or at least like a yellow piece and then you put a green sticker on it. But it's a yellow and green sticker over molded detail, which I am not a huge fan of. But outside of the stickers, its lack of articulation because it's a SD kit. Outside of those two things, I have no problems with this kit. I love it. It's so cool. It's got this huge backpack now made out of an SD head. And like I said, just the fact that this thing can transform from an SD into its normal real mode is just the sickest thing. And watching it in the show, I knew I had to get this kit. So I did. Yeah, excuse me. If you guys are, looking to get this kit, or if you're on the, if you're not sure to get this kit, get it. If you don't have the original the original Winning Gundam, understandably, you don't really need to have the Winning Gundam. Get this kit instead. If you want to get one or the other, get this one. Now then, before I end the video, let me do a little comparison here with the entirety of Team Tri-Fighters. Here is Yuma's full burner, Lightning Gundam, and here is the Tri-Burning. And they look really nice. The Lightning Gundam wins out in head height. Move the blade out of the way. Out of the three of them, but the Star Winning actually is a little bit taller if you count the top of the cockpit here. And it's actually taller than the Tri-Burning. But this is the entirety of the upgraded sets for the Team Tri-Burning. And just for fun, let me show it next to the original kit piloted by Hoshino Fumina in the series, the GM Cardigan, which is a really nice kit. But so far, I really like the Star Winning here as my favorite from the 3 upgrades for the team here. Saying a lot, aren't I? But in terms of model kits and how much fun I had building it and just playing around with it, the Star Winning definitely outwins both the Tri-Burning and the Lightning. The Lightning is okay by itself, but you do need to get its backpacks. And the Tri-Burning, if you have the burning gun, if you have the build burning, almost exactly the same except all the fire effects. And I do really like the fire effects on this thing, but I just like playing with the Star Winning more. It feels solid. It doesn't fall apart all that easily, except for these little shuriken side pieces. And as I've said before, the stickers are the biggest problem with this guy, and its lack of articulation. But both of those things I can forgive, because it is an SD model kit, and for 1200 yen, you get an 8 SD that can turn into a admittedly super shitty looking like fighter mode and a awesome real mode. But yeah, that's my review of the Star Winning Gundam. I know it dragged on a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later.